So if you see the picture, from the previous slide in 10 personnel, if you have that true six-man box, the guy who's going to be stressed quite a bit is that will linebacker, on number 2 weak. And that's where, you have to have the ability to gap cancel, but also have cover downs, with your weak safety to alleviate that stress off that will linebacker who's got an interior gap, as well as an immediate threat for RPO and quick game. So I'll go through, a few of our three match clips here first. This was a team, that ran a lot of mesh wheel, a lot of mesh drive, a lot of crossing concepts, which we love when we get to three match. Our boundary corner, he's going to be a mess of one player. From there, he's taking an outside leverage, with that hard inside stem because you got middle of the field closed with the field safety. Field corner, we predominantly play him off at a 7 tilt is his base alignment. He's mess of one, man except shallow, and then our weak safety, our boundary overhang, and our nickel, our field overhang. They're going to tip to outside leverage, mess of number 2. And with that, that clean area is anywhere 4 to 7.5 yards. So if our guys, our corners who are mess players and our overhangs, our nickel and weak safety, if they do get an under, right, they cut the under to the two backers, and then from there they cross key, squeeze, scan, and steal from the other side of the formation if you were to get two drags or you were to get a drive concept, right? Stealing that drag coming back to them, right? Or stealing underneath that dig, poaching it, reading QB tone. Our Mike and Will linebackers, right? They're match 3 players. If the back releases to them as number 3, right, they meg the back. If he releases away, they push middle hook, landmark drop of 10 yards, apex in the hashes. If back stays in protection, we both become hook curl defenders. Mike, strong hook curl, Will, weak hook curl. And then you see our field safety close in the middle of the field, right, as your post safety. So weak safety on 2 weak here, right? He gets the immediate under, right? Under. From there, right? He needs to start squeezing, right? Flat, right? We want him to go attack the hashes with his eyes back to the field, but he needs to go flat. So right here, we don't get mesh, no drag coming back to him. He climbs, he can go poach this dig, right? Coming right back to him. So that's exactly what we want. Funnel the football right in between the hashes. Will linebacker does a great job off the wide split from the back, right? Getting over the top, running with the wheel, right? But these are the teams we love running against, drive mesh teams. Another similar team, right here, they're going boundary overload, right? Running a post, running an over by 2 weak. From there, sending the back on your wheel, and then the overload coming from 2 strong, running the drag. So with this, right, again, right, Will knows by tendencies, right, that we're most likely going to get a wheel from the back. He pluses out of the box, gap cancels, right, so he can play C gap. From there, he matches 3, right, who's the back on the wheel, right? The nickel, right, is mess of 2 strong. He communicates under, right? From there, the Will takes the back, so the Mike pushes middle hook. If there's one under, the Mike will steal it. He takes the drag. Our nickel has the ability to squeeze, scan, steal, right, for any under, right, or drive, dig coming back. And again, outside leverage with that weak safety, funnel them right to the post safety. Here's our last one of 3 match. Here to the boundary, we actually get nasty snugs, which we've done a better job of, in recent years, getting to some nasty snugs checks. But here, boundary corner, he takes the point. He goes press outside leverage mess of 1 just to make it a clear picture for that weak safety, right? Who's going to play, right? That B2 who's off the ball. He's mess of him. He'll get to outside leverage late. Same thing with our field corner, right? And nickel that you've seen from the last 2 clips. We get the back push out to the field, right on that field arrow. Mike pushes. From there, our Will is going to start pushing middle hook while taking snapshots back to the quarterback. He's got boundary eyes all the way, so he's looking to help our boundary corner and weak safety. Weak safety does a really good job allowing that boundary corner to be a press boundary corner, take it all the way, play outside leverage, force it to the post safety, ends up being an angle corner, right? So he falls right into the lap of the boundary corner, right, with his pre-snap leverage. Now getting into our two read, right? And this is something instead of playing hard squat corners that we moved to here in the last 4 years, right? Especially when teams, are condensing their sets and they're trying to use all 53 and a third. We continue to see ourselves get out leveraged, with our quarters corners, or our squat corners, so we're just doing a slight walkout with our corners from a 7 tilt, getting to the outside tip of 1, reading 2 to 1, and then they're reading QB tone, QB eyes all the way. So here we get mesh, right, from too strong, too weak, right? And then we get those doubts trying to attack if they've got free access, right? And they've got leverage, right? Either way. So really easy for those corners. They just fall on the outside hip of the doubts, right? And then, right, our nickel and Will, they just exchange the unders on mesh. Our Mike, right, is that middle hook player, right? We're playing traditional deep half players, 2-to-1 reads, right, with our safeties. The one thing that's different in our two read is our corners. If they get 1 and 2 both vertical, right, they'll carry the outside tip of 1, right, until they get anything threatened in the flat or they read QB tone. But easy one here for that field corner, gets to the outside tip, right, in great shape on the deep out, right, wants to play underneath, right, that low hip, right, QB eyes, plays QB tone, makes the play, puts it in. All right, very traditional, right, set here to the boundary, right, and then we get a field nasty snug, right, to the top of the screen, right? So this is when we really like using it, right? When teams are trying to bring us in tight and then out leverage us, you still see that angle walk out from that corner, actually end up getting a drive concept to the field, right? And then from there, you get a post, right, with a deep out, right? Which that boundary corner right here on the bottom of the screen, right? He's carrying that outside tip of 1, right? Reading QB tone, 2 runs the deep out. So now 2 is no longer vertical. He falls off, right? He's going to sit right on that low hip of the deep out. And then the weak safety is pushing, right? High -3 inside that post. But we really like this coverage. We think some teams read it as, a cover 2, a 2 read, a quarters, an outside quarters. It's really become something that we can manipulate based off the team we're playing.